Good evening, everybody. Sorry that there was a delay. And obviously I had a very busy week, and I had a very, crazy week, I can say. I would like to thank for people that compliment me on giving the shiur, and I want you to share this video, near and far, wherever you know, old, young, for this to go out. And I was thinking about myself, Dachlotter, what goal should I take to make my step way up in Yiddishkeit, both in Beruchni and Begashment, to give manachas to my parents, whatever it is, and to those around me. So I was thinking to myself that I would give every week at Vatoya. But before then, today, I'm going to talk about, as I said, to explain the eight of the Rebbe, from the Baal Shem Tov going down to the Rebbe, on each of them, the uniqueness about the Avos Yisrael, and who was the Baal Shem Tov. Just to end on for my birthday shiur, before I'll be able to give the shiur on the Parsha of the Sipasha Part Saveh, and to summarize off with Parsha Truma, and before or Parsha Mishpatim, and so on and etc. And then you lead into Kesisa V'Yakel B'Kudei, and then Vayikra, and then hopefully by Pesach. Anyway, so who was the Baal Shem Tov? The Baal Shem Tov, you know, the Bisol Baal Shem Tov. He was the founder of Chassidus. And he was also the Rebbe of the Mitzvah Magid, the Rebbe of the Nemil Melech, Bezushem Anapoili. And he was also the Rebbe, his famous was the Tozus Yosef. And he also had, and obviously renowned in Chabad, the famous well-known one is the Mitzvah Magid. And the Mitzvah Magid was not that far off from the Baal Shem Tov. And who was the Baal Shem Tov? There's a famous story with the Baal Shem Tov father, Rebbe Eliezer. How Eliezer was a simple Jew. He wasn't rich, he wasn't wealthy, but he was a big tzaddik, he was a big chassid. And he was oisik, b'toy mitzvahs, a simple Jew. And he didn't have children for many, many years. And the Eibishter obviously saw that he was a Baal Chesed. So Kadosh Baruch Hu said, I'll give him a test. If he passes this test, I'll be able to zoicha to have a baby. And Elianovi came. And Novi was going through this town where the Baal Shem Tov lived, grew up in Russia, I believe so, if I'm not mistaken. And he was going through the places. Nobody wanted to take this person in. Suddenly he knocked on the door. Novi knocked at Eliezer, the father of the Baal Shem Tov. And he warmed in a smile and he said, how are you? How are you doing? And Eliezer, the father of the Baal Shem Tov, as we know, came in. Eliezer, whatever. But Elianovi didn't want to make it easy. Didn't want to be like, you know what, like Avraham Avinu, you invited with the Malachim, and I'm going to give them. Elianovi made sure that he would test Eliezer. What did he do? He would do things that will upset the host. He will maybe spill the soup. He will throw stuff. He will do all sorts of weird stuff. And Elianovi obviously, afterwards, he saw that Eliezer didn't chuck him out. Eventually, afterwards, he said, because you passed the test, whatever, and I'm not here to, whatever, I'll give you a bocher. You should be blessed with a child who will lead, to have a special shaman will lead the Bnei Yisrael and teach them the secrets of Torah, which is known the Baal Shem Tov. And the Baal Shem Tov, when he was 26 years old, he was taught by Achai Shaloni. Achai Shaloni was a very special person. He was also a Talmud of Moshe Rabbeinu. Achai Shaloni was one of the earlier people that came out from Mitzrayim and actually went into Eretz Yisrael. So you could imagine how old was Achai Shaloni when he was a Novi if not mistaken, of Rechavam, David Melech, Shlomo Melech's son. So we need to understand something very powerful. Is who was the Baal Shem Tov? What was his purpose in this world? His purpose was to spread the Yefusim and Chutza. His purpose was to make sure that each one of you will fulfill its need, fulfill it to learn the sequence of Torah, that all of you can learn, not only learning the Gemara, which is also important, learning Chumash, learning Mishnah, but also to understand the sequence of Torah, to understand why you're here, why your purpose, as we learned in last week Pasha, and the author brings us from Medrash Tanchuma, v'osi l'midrash v'sechante b'soichem. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu drell, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made. And obviously last week we didn't read about Shoichem b'soichem b'nei Yisrael. We read a very powerful mafta, we read about mafta machzis shekel. And the Baal Shem Tov had told us the unique the Avos he saw that Baal Shem Tov had, that he had for fellow Jew. As we know, the famous story about the Baal Shem Tov, two famous stories. One of them, you know, the one with the shepherd, where the Baal Shem Tov heard that there was somebody there out there who had a greater love than I. And the Baal Shem Tov, and we have to understand, the Talmidim were in shock. They were surprised to hear from the Baal Shem Tov. He said, what do you mean, Rebbe? He said, somebody has a greater Avos Hashem to you? He said, they can't be. The Baal Shem Tov said and showed them that there was a simple flock, a simple shepherd. And he did cartwheels, he did thunder, so whatever, all type of weird things that they do. And he enabled himself to fail. And then at the end of it, and he had someone's koiches, and he sang, and then he goes to blow the shofar, and then he goes. And he's just a simple shepherd. And all he does is, he said, only you, all he knows is you, Father. Then he took our coin afterwards, and he threw it to the heavens. And then after the heavens, the hand, Baal Shem Tov said, did you hear what happened with the coin? He says, no. The heaven, Hashem sent out, the heaven sought down a hand, and the hand grabbed it. What we can learn from the story is a very, very powerful lesson. We can learn from even from lower people as well. And the Baal Shem Tov said in Ayom Yom that when it comes to Gashmi, he used to say, thank you very much, I have what I need. And but by Yid, you should say, oh, I should be like him. Like, I'm jealous of him, how he davens. I'm jealous of him, how he learns. We can learn from everybody among us. That's the beauty of Avos Yisrael. The other story was when the Baal Shem Tov was young. The Baal Shem Tov, we used to go and teach small kids, and used to walk with them in the forest. And one time, this is one of my favorite stories of the Baal Shem Tov. And the Baal Shem Tov was a young boy, and one time there was this power of a clipper. This guy was after the Baal Shem Tov. And he turned this thing into a wolf. And the Baal Shem Tov knew that he had the koyach of tumah. And the Baal Shem Tov said, instead of running away, he decided to fight it. And he said, I'm going to be the first to defend my people, to defend my talmidim. The young little children, because the Baal Shem Tov was an orphan when his parents died, when he was 5 or 6 years old, and he was grew up by the hidden tzaddikim. He learned his whole life by the hidden tzaddikim, and that's why he didn't want to become a rebbe. But nevertheless, the Baal Shem Tov, HaKodesh, became to be known, the uniqueness Avos Yisrael he had for every single Jew, no matter near and far, the uniqueness that he has, that he was a well-known person who cares for each one of us individually, the B'Yisrael Baal Shem Tov. And he made many miracles, many nisim. And the famous story also with the cock-a-doodle-doo. There's many stories, and I advise you for you to read stories from the Baal Shem Tov. And also there's also a famous story for the Mitzvah Magid, how this is our Neshama Klolos that cares for each one and every you, not somebody who just want to be a leader, somebody who understands what is a Neman. He's a faithful shepherd. What does it mean to somebody? What does it mean when Moshe Ben is a royal Neman? When the Zohar Kodesh says, when Rashbi writes in the Zohar that he said, in the Sefer Zohar that he says that, what's a royal Neman? What does it mean a faithful shepherd? It means a faithful shepherd means that he has a Neshama Klolos. It means he cares for each and every one of you. He feels the desire of one of you. He feels that you belong to him, that you're part of Hashem, Bnei Yisrael. Even though there's a Kodesh Baruch Hu who created the world, nevertheless there's a Tzaddik v'Tzaddik Yisod L'Olam. And a Kodesh Baruch Hu is the one that gives us the koiches and give us a Nasi, a leader. And today, our leader, the Lubavitcher Rebbe. And there's a lot of people that disagree that he was a Nasi because he was nostalgic. But don't be fooled by the Satan. Don't be fooled by the Yetzer Hara. Be strong. Realize the truth is always going to be by the Miyatim. We find this also famously with the Hanukkah story. The Greeks, there were many Yidden called the Messiah and throughout history there were Yidden who tried to look for ways, and even Chas v'Shalom, even the Yidden among the Charedim. And I want to say this again, I'm not here to criticize people, and I'm not here to put anybody down. And you doing what you need to do to, in your own way, in B'derech HaTorah, B'derech Matzech, in your way, as the Bezush Anapoli says, be the best you can be. But at the same time, however, we must remember the emes. We must remember that we can't just say stuff that doesn't make any sense. And the Rebbe said, obviously, that the Rebbe, that Baal Shem Tov was the Nasi Aldoi in his generation. The Mitzvah Magid was appointed from the Baal Shem Tov to be the Tzaddik, the Nasi of his generation, and Shama Klolos that cared for every single Jew. And the Mitzvah Magid of Doibe, as we find famously with the story of the Mitzvah Magid, that with his son Avraham, famous story, also connected with Avos Yisrael, Kishachot Belevachot, Vayichan Yisrael Neged Ahor. What was the story? Avraham and Malach obviously later on became the Chavusa of the Alter Rebbe, and Avraham and Malach learned with him, Avraham Malach taught him Chassidus, and the Alter Rebbe taught him Nigla. So basically, we need to understand from ourselves what is that supposed to mean. What is that supposed to mean that the Aaron and Malach taught to the Alter Rebbe, was commanded by the Mitzvah Magid, taught him Chassidus, and the Mitzvah Magid and the Alter Rebbe taught him Nigla. As we know, the Alter Rebbe came from the family of Litvak, and the Alter Rebbe wife of Litvak, and only the Alter Rebbe's father Baruch was the Talmud, one of the Talmud of Mitzvah Magid, also known to be. He was a big chassid. We're not also about talking about the Baruch Mezobos as well, whose Yotzad happened to be on Erev Chakis, on Erev Yotzad Kislev. But there was also one story, this is one of the stories I can remember, I can think of. So, Avraham Malach was a young boy and he was playing with his friends. And the Doiber wasn't a Rebbe yet, but he was a chassid. And his kid was hiding. He was hiding away from us, this and that. And every time that they hide, they always hide from him, and he could never find him. When the Mitzvah Magid saw that his son Avraham Malach was crying, he said like this. He said, "Do you know who's also hiding from us?" The mama said to him, and said, "No." Father was a young boy. He said, "Obviously we know." He says Hashem is hiding from us. He said that Hashem is playing hide and seek. And when we chas v'sholem don't do what we need supposed to do, Hashem hide from us. But when we do what we need to do, Hashem is able to come out of his hiding place. And hopefully may it be very soon when Mashiach Tzidkeinu, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wouldn't have to hide from us, will be able no longer hide from us, and will be able to be with us back in the Beit HaMikdash Shlishi in Achinu Kol Beit Yisrael. That's the mind of the Mitzvah Magid. Now I'm going to go and mention you of who was the Alter Rebbe, the Balatanya. The Alter Rebbe Shnei Zalmy Meliyadi was known to be, was the youngest Talmidim of the Mitzvah Magid, and known to be the greatest. What was so unique about the Alter Rebbe? And what was so unique? The Alter Rebbe didn't himself want to become a Rebbe. The Baal Shem Tov didn't want to become a Nasi. The Mitzvah Magid didn't want to become a Nasi. And the Alter Rebbe didn't want to become a Nasi. And so goes on with the Mittel Rebbe, his son, that's the Machzedek, the Mamash, the Shabbat Fidik Rebbe, and the Rebbe. Unfortunately, most of us today, even I'm direct descendant of Rabbeinu Kodesh, what I said a multiple of time, Menachem Ben. So I understand what's royalty, what's the responsibility of a leader. And somebody came to me and asked me, and he said to me like this, he said, Zalmy, I know you come from such yuchas, you come from such this, you come from that. He said, do you actually want to become a leader? I said, no. I said, even I myself who comes from a leader, don't want to be a leader, and you're telling me that you want to be a leader. Like Lahavda we have with Kistam, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and we also have with President Trump, and also Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu. These are all politicians, but we must remember they are going to come and they're going to go. But the Malchut is David, the Malchut, the family of Rebbe, these are real blood. These are the real blood of Bid, as the Rashbi said, Kol B'nai Yisrael Malachim Heim, and explained the Gemara Shabbat, I think in Perich of Aleph. Every single person is a print of Hashem. Every single person is precious. And the whole idea of what a Rebbe is, not Stam a Rebbe, Dalitas Hasidim, that like a Godel Adoy. I have tremendous respect for every, or Rosh Yeshiva, whatever. But to be a Rebbe, it means to be a Rosh B'nai Yisrael. It means that he cared. That's what it means, a royal Naaman. A faithful shepherd means he cared for every single Jew. He doesn't put anybody's down. He cared for each and every one of you. And the Gemara said that the last Nasi is going to be Mashiach, which I hold pneumously. This is the Lubavitcher Rebbe. And I do want to say this to you. That a lot of the time people can say what they want to say. They're entitled to their opinion, but the emes will always be by the Matim. And you're allowed to say whatever you want to say. You're allowed to believe what you want to believe. If you still believe that there is such a thing, called dinosaurs, you're entitled to your opinion. If you still believe that there's something called, I don't know what stuff you believe in, fine. If you still think that this person annoyed you, this person upset you, whatever, this and that, You're entitled to do whatever you want. Doibishter gives you free choice. But never say sheker when it comes to MS. And there was somebody over here last week, Friday, who happened to be, he's probably a nice guy, he happened to be in the stable, and I was talking with someone else, and he comes up saying this and that and this and that. There's a different opinion. Obviously, Gedolim and Gedolim and this and that. And yeah, people can say what they want to say, but doesn't mean that because they said something is actually their MS. And if they get upset that they are this and that, then that's mean they don't want it to learn. Because when somebody gets upset at something that the other person is trying to teach them something, who's trying to go out of his way to say, okay, if you want to have a discussion, fine, and that person, whatever. But at the end of the day, we should have to tell ourselves that it happened, we move on from there. Who was the Alter Rebbe? Now, as I mentioned multiple of times, the Alter Rebbe was my role model, and the Alter Rebbe was somebody of the famous story with the Yom Kippur stories. But I want to tell you something very, very interesting about the Alter Rebbe that even I took the book from the Chabbatos and I middle of reading it. I would have to start reading it, obviously, and then I have to give it back to the Chabbatos, of course. That who was the Alter Rebbe? The Alter Rebbe was somebody who cares for every single Jew, somebody who spread the Chassid Chabad, and when he said that the Chabad is emes, it means that it's below Keser. It means Penimius. It doesn't mean the Chabad below Levushim. You know, Chabad, what's it between Chabad to Lubavitch? Lubavitch is the Levushim of Chabad. It's named after a city. But Chabad, this is the Iko. This is the Mitzvah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is where we are below Keser. We have what's called, from the Zohar explained, Keser. And even the Zohar explained the mile of Chabad. Everybody when Mashiach will come is going to be Chabad. What does it mean to be Chabad? Does it mean that we're going to dress Chabad clothes? No. When Mashiach will come, we're going to have our own clothes. The Kohanim will have its clothes. Malchut Beis David, the family of Shev Yehuda, who comes from Rabbeinu HaKodesh, who live on Mashiach and his family, will live in Yerushalayim HaKodesh, will live in, they will live in a palace. Within a certain form, they will live in a palace, even on myself, and they will have very royalty clothing. That's why today we won't wear like what we are wearing today. Will be completely different. Even though Machlokes between the Ramban and the Rambam, but the clothing will be different. The Kohuna, the clothing and everything, the Kohen Gadol, and the Kohen will be the Kohen, and there obviously the Rebbe Melech HaMashiach will be the Mashiach to take us out of Golus. But I want to say this again, and I want to make my point extremely clear. What is Chabad? What does it mean that Alter Rebbe said it's the SM? It's you, it's yourself, it's your Penimius. It doesn't mean it's your outside. You're not going to wear Chabad clothes when Mashiach will come. It means you will understand the mile of Chabad, the mile of Chochmim B'no Das. And I don't know why people like to criticize. You know why most people criticize? Because that's the power of the Satan. The Satan doesn't want you to know the emes. The Satan doesn't want you to know what does it mean to be a Yid. The Satan doesn't want you to know what does it mean, why you're here, what's your purpose. And that's the mile of the Baal Shem Tov, the mile of the Mitzvah Magid, the mile of the Alter Rebbe, that they went out of the whole way to care for each and every one of you, to make sure that you have what you need, both in Beruchnius and both in Begashmius. That is what the Rebbe. And that's a Rebbe. And even though they knew the whole Torah, they knew everything in and side and out, even though they knew that they were tzaddikim, nevertheless, they make sure to go out. And that is what the royal Neman is. And that's what it means to be a faithful shepherd. The mind of the Alter Rebbe, Avat Yisrael, that would be beyond the world. And the Alter Rebbe also was very similar to him, and he called the Baal Shem Tov like his Zayda spiritually. And by the way, they say that if the Baal Shem Tov would have able to meet, if the Alter Rebbe would have, so basically the Alter Rebbe initially was not supposed to meet the Baal Shem Tov at all. What happened? So the Baal Shem Tov mother, so the Alter Rebbe mother said, it's not fair. He said, why is it that the Alter Rebbe, that the Baal Shem Tov makes such a big racket about the Neshama Chadosha, which is the Milo Mashiach, and all of a sudden, the Alter Rebbe could never feel the presence of Baal Shem Tov. So the Baal Shem Tov said, you know what? I agree. But bring him on optioners. And you're not allowed to say that the Yisrael until I passed away. So later on, when the Alter Rebbe was 5 or 6 years old, he asked his father and mother, after the Baal Shem Tov passed away, he asked, who was this person? And the Baal Shem Tov said to him, and this was the Baal Shem Tov. And the Mitzvah Magid, the Alter Rebbe only spent a very short time, I think 2 years, until when the Mitzvah Magid passed away. So he was 19 when he came to Yeshiva. So he was the youngest Talmud, and he became the greatest. Could you imagine who the Alter Rebbe was? The Alter Rebbe showed us the compassion, also the famous story. And I want to say this to you because there's a lot of Litvaks and a lot of they can share with people who doesn't understand Chabad. I'm sure all of my friends, or my closest friends who are non-Chabad, understand Chabad. That's why they're my friends. Every single year, every one of them understand Chabad. I don't think of any friends on my WhatsApp that I feel very close to that criticize Chabad, because then I wouldn't be his friend. Somebody criticize Chabad like that, I wouldn't even go near into that chapter. But basically, the Alter Rebbe was the one that came after, when he came out of the prison, the famous story when he spent 53 days in prison. Could you imagine this? 53 days in prison. And there was a mistake, and the Shemaim decreed that the Alter Rebbe would have another test. What was the test? The test was to be in the Mesnagdish house. And we know the Mesnagdim, they will kill Yidden, they will kill the Hasidim. They will kill Hasidim for teaching him. They had such a jealousy, such a hatred. Unfortunately, there are people today that have a hatred to Chabad, lo yaleinu, and Hashem shall have rachman on them. But nevertheless, al kaponim, there are the Mesnagdish and this. And the Mesnagdish felt, okay, whatever. Was surprised to see the Alter Rebbe coming to his house. And he made him a coffee. And the Alter Rebbe, the Mesnagdish started to criticize. And this, you can imagine that the Alter Rebbe just spent 53 days in prison. And he comes out with 2 guards. He's supposed to go to the Chassid house. He went to the wrong neighbor. And this Mesnagdish knew that who the Alter Rebbe was, and start begging and this and that. Because by then the whole idea of Mesnagdim was completely this, and they probably paid the punishment for it. They paid the price for it. And nevertheless, he's knocking. What the Alter Rebbe do? The Alter Rebbe said no. Later on, they realized what actually happened. A few hours later, it was getting late. They realized the Alter Rebbe was supposed to be here. Where is he? They couldn't understand. Even the host, he was supposed to be by. Suddenly they see the shock, and they see this Mesnagdish, and here the Alter Rebbe with a cup of tea, whatever, and here he's screaming at him, lashing at him. You think your Chassidus is emes, and this is just after the Alter Rebbe got released. So obviously it's clear to a person that if you try to accuse somebody and the accuser got released, obviously you know you are guilty. Obviously you know you accused him for nothing, which you misled, which is a big avera, which is a big one thing, which is a big major problem. So and what did the Alter Rebbe go on? The Alter Rebbe said, and this is something that we all need to learn. And this is something that I only see in Chabad. I don't see anyone else. And today the modern Chabad, so today everybody start to see, because, today world, if the Lubavitcher Rebbe was alive today, it will be clear to everybody that he's a Nosei Adoy. So what changed? Do you know what changed? If the same goes when the Beis Hamikdash got destroyed, by then everybody saw that there was Hashem. So what changed? The change is that we're in Golus. And when we're in Golus, the Satan rises up. The Tumah, the Klippa, even when we think that we're doing right, thinks, we are top of the world. We know everything. That's it. It comes and goes. No. The MS doesn't come and go. MS is always there. The question is how we find MS. The question is how we come across it. How we look for it. Sometimes it says him one time a very brilliant vot from the Rabbi Jackson. I was always saying this to my father. He said when somebody lost something, that's he go to a place where he found so does he go to a place where the problem is? No, he goes to a place where they lost it. Where you lost that place, where you lost your love, that's where you go. You go into the place to you don't look here, look there, find where you go to the place where is the beginning of that problem. You don't go to where the problem is now. You go where we cast him. So like somebody Chas Shalom who doesn't look for the problem where it happened, I look for the problem where he lost it. Same goes with Yiddishkeit. Where's your problem? Your problem is where you went wrong. Where did you slip? Where did you go down? It's not the problem now. It's like you think about Chet V'Nefesh. You think about yourself. Where did I go wrong? It's like in the chess pace. He said, obviously, every move has been followed. You don't go to where you lost. Okay, you lost the game. You go back. You go few moves back. You go, where did I go wrong? And this is a very powerful lesson to us that we have to learn. The emes and emet. The question is how we see it. Can we actually overcome the Yitzhak? Can we actually make sure the Maila that we do what needs to be done in this world, that we understand that this is the emes? You can have your opinion. By the way, opinion and fact is two different scenarios, completely. Scenario, two different aspect, two different abstract, two different things. Yeah? Two different elements. This is conjecture and they say in scientifically. But what I'm trying to make my point is two different stuff. So that's the matter. And we can see from it the Alter Rebbe never gave back, and that's the Avot Yisrael. The Alter Rebbe was somebody that loves every single Jew, even his own enemy. Which is the Mesnag that Alter Rebbe still says, don't you dare. After when they said, after the Q, the Rebbe said, no. The Rebbe said, thank you very much. And that's how we can learn. To never treat bad after the somebody back. The Alter Rebbe had every right to be upset. I said, no, nevertheless, don't give back. Be kind, be nice, be pleasant. Show that you actually care. And now we're going to go to the Mittel Rebbe. And the mile of the Mittel Rebbe was also the famous Avos Yisrael of the Mittel Rebbe. And a person came in and he wanted to ask for a kapara. And he would daven long hours. And the Mittel Rebbe said to him, you see, and he pointed him to the skin. So the Chosek understand. He said, Rebbe, why do you point me his hand? He said, listen. He said that every yid that doesn't have veil, there's my skin bleeds. Every time I see that I'm showing that you do something wrong, it hurts me, it bleeds. Which means that I feel the pain. You may not feel the pain, but I feel the pain. And I expect you, and the Mittel Rebbe obviously said to him in a way, and said to him, listen, he said, we're not talking about something that we know that wasn't your fault with fail. Something that you can do better. That you have to know that I care for you. I care. That's why I care for you, Neshama. It's not just I'm just to lead of you. That every avera that you do, I take with full responsibility. Everything you do, not only shilas, not only problems that you need to be dealt with, even the things that the Chazal we do, it's on me. And we can see from here, these tzaddikim, these rebbeim, the Mittel Rebbe. There's also many stories of David Yisrael from the Mittel Rebbe. Rabbi Doibe, who was named after the Maggid. We can learn from here a tremendous moradic things, lesson life from that, from the Mansur, the Maggid, the Alter Rebbe, and the Mittel Rebbe. Now we're going to go to the Tzemach Tzedek to understand who was the Mittel Rebbe. And we know the Mittel Rebbe when he was young. One of the most famous well-known story of the Mittel Rebbe. How basically his father wanted to learn. His father father wouldn't allow him to learn Chassidus. And what did the Mittel Rebbe do? At the age of 6 or 7 years old, most kids age 6 or 7 years old, they'll be playing with toys. What did the Mittel Rebbe do? Do you know what the Mittel Rebbe did when he was 6 or 7 years old? His sister, I think her name was Miriam, she was about 11, 12, and she learned Chassidus. Because after needed to Chazon Maimah. And the Mittel Rebbe, at the age of 6 or 7, very, very dim mom, the Alter Rebbe would give, will lie down under the table and will tell his sister sure. So one time, the Alter Rebbe was caught him, and his Alter Rebbe said, he said, what are you doing over here? So he said, I came to learn Chassidus. The Alter Rebbe then said to Mittel Rebbe, can you repeat to me everything I said? Out of in shock at the age of 6 or 7 years old. The Mittel Rebbe actually said every single word what the Alter Rebbe said to him. And you'll be like stunned. He said, could you understand who these were tzaddikim? That they then Hashem is there to lead Am Yisrael. That if they were the age of 6 or 7 years old, to have the Moise Nefesh, to learn Chassidus, to hear the Divrei Elokim Chayim, to hear the Penim Esatoyo, to hear how to walk on your Avodas Hashem, how to walk on the mitzvah, ask you, what am I here, how to walk on, how to have bittul and over, how to become a better Yid to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's what the milo of Elokus, to understand what is Elokus, why are we here, what is the world, what does it mean, we learn from the Tanakh, from the Psukim, what is it teaching us, what we can learn from it. That's the milo. And that's what we can understand. We can learn from the Mittel Rebbe, the uniqueness, that he cared for every single Jew, that his skin will bleed when a person doesn't have Aveira. He will go and learn Chassidus. And there's also other stories of the Mittel Rebbe, Moise Nefesh, and the Mittel Rebbe lived his life for Torah mitzvah. And even when you're not well, the Mittel Rebbe was to travel to go and save another Jew. And the Mittel Rebbe established city in Vitebsk, and then Chassidim, the Masnag, thought, because the Mittel Rebbe was somebody that was sit on Torah. But nevertheless, the Mittel Rebbe went much more greater than his father. And the Mitzvah Rebbe spread more Chassidus, much more greater than his father, the Alter Rebbe. And we can see that these tzaddikim, they care for Torah, they care for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they care for mitzvahs, they care for everything else. They are leader, they are Rosh B'nai Yisrael. They're there to show us that we can even learn from them. They're not just a great, like most people, they're like the Gedolim, I'm great, and everybody just go. No, even, what's the difference between a Rebbe to a Godhead? It's very simple. It's like what's the difference between a general to a king? A king cares. He cares for his people. It said, Ein melech b'olam. There's no king without a nation. Hashem cares for us. So Hashem is not just a malach who just cares for himself, and then, malach just cares for one part of his own group. Here HaKadosh Baruch Hu cares for everything. Same goes with the Nasi Hadoy. And Nasi is somebody who cares, not just care about one group, cares for every single Jew. It doesn't make a difference who you are. You are part of the chosen nation, and that's what the Nasi. The difference between, and I said it, make it very clear. The Rebbe, there's nobody else today like the Lubavitcher Rebbe that cared for every single Jew. And people still say he was a Rebbe of Chabad, but you're wrong. He wasn't just a Rebbe of Chabad. He was a Rebbe of every single Jew. He was a Rebbe for each and every one, whether you're Sfadi, whether you're Litvak, whether you're Mizrahi, whether you're Temanite, whether you're Ashkenaz, whatever you are. He is your Rebbe. The Rebbe is your Rebbe. And the Rebbe is our Rebbe, and the Rebbe is our Moshe Ben of our generation, and the Rebbe is our faithful shepherd, our Renemon, going back from his father, the fifth Rebbe, the Rebbe Rayatz, and then his father, the Rebbe fifth Rebbe father, the Rebbe Rashab, and then the Rebbe Rashab father, the Rebbe Marash, and then the Rebbe Marash father, the Menachem Mendel Schneerson, and then father-in-law and uncle was the Mittel Rebbe. The Mittel Rebbe was Doibe, and then to the Alter Rebbe, his father B'Shnei Zalmy Meliyadi, and then going back all the way to then going to Mitzvah Doibe, and then going to Baal Shem Tov B'Yisrael Baal Shem Tov. And I want to tell you something, very tell you this. So now we're going from the Mittel Rebbe, and we're going out to the Tzemach Tzedek. And who was the Tzemach Tzedek? The Tzemach Tzedek was somebody who we know famous story, and the Tzemach Tzedek, and I love to read the story. The Tzemach Tzedek will go and often wake up early in the morning at 4 o'clock in the morning and go and say Tehillim with simple Jew. So they asked the Tzemach Tzedek, he said normally, why? He said, what's the point of this? Tzemach Tzedek answered this fellow person, he said like this, he said, I think it was like whatever, and he said like this, he said, these simple Jews don't have time to daven, they don't have time to learn, they don't know anything, they know, but they're working. They only know a little bit. So I said they don't really get much time with me because I'm only busy with my Hasidim. I'm busy. So I decided that what, that because they're simple Jew and I want HaKadosh Baruch Hu to hear them, so I go and I wake up extra in the morning. That to lead that I can spend my time with them. That even is true that I can help them, I can guide them, and I can say Tehillim with them, and I can be part of them. Not to think that I'm different from them. That I can be part of them, and that is what the Nasi is, and we can learn from here how the Nasiim they put to us, they were like with us. It's not they were no different. It's like HaKadosh Baruch Hu is like Melech, and Chas Shalom we are different. No, we are one. The Rashbi said Toya v'Raisa Kutsha Bericha Kol Echad. We all one. Even though the Kodesh Baruch Hu is our father, Kodesh Baruch Hu wants us to connect like a father and son. Same goes with the Rebbeim, with the Tzaddik. The Baal Shem Tov said he wasn't just a Rebbe, just a Stam Chassidus Rebbe. He was a Rebbe that wanted his own people, that he saw to be part. Each one can be part of him, that to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Same goes with the Mitzvah Maggid. Same goes with the Alter Rebbe. Same goes with the Mittel Rebbe. Same goes with the Tzemach Tzedek. And then same goes with the Rebbe Marash. Had the Rebbe Marash famous story. He would go and he was a very, very wealthy person, and the Rebbe Marash said, and he asked the Rebbe Marash, he said, why on earth that none of your forefathers wanted to become rich, and here you go and become rich? The Marash said like this, and he said, that my neshama, that I feel that my mission, my capability is to take this, like the Ben Atam and the Rebbe, to take this wealth and to use it for Kedusha. It's not just enough just to not have money. I said, I want to be very wealthy and I want to use it in my own power. That was the Rebbe's mission. Someone want to say was also Ben Shmuel, in Spot Chassidus, his same thing called Torah Shmuel, the Tzedek, which has the Torah Oy, the Sefer, which is very well known for Sefer. The Baal Shem Tov is the Kesef Shem Tov. The Mitzvah Magid is the Torah Samagid. The Alter Rebbe, we know, is Tanya, Shulchan Aruch, and the Kutei Torah, Tanya, the Kutei Torah, and Torah. The Mittel Rebbe we know is Imrei Bina, Torah Chaim, the Tzemach Tzedek, the Mesesach, and others for him. And Oy Toya, and then we also got the Mamarash, which is Torah Shmuel, the Rebbe Rashab, which is we also got the others form the Rebbe Rashab. Also we got Shoshi Kidmo and others, another mime of the Rebbe Rashab. Then you got the Fiddike Rebbe, the Fiddike Mamorim, and then you also have the Rebbe's Mamorim as well. Also Torah Menachem, Lekutei Sichos, and the Fiddike Rebbe is also, as we know, he wrote the Kutei Deboim, and he wrote the famous Maimon Bosiligani, and he wrote, and that's the reality. And I want you to know one thing for sure, that these are tzaddikim that we couldn't understand. We were never able to merit to the level. But one thing I want to tell you, Rabbi Isa, one thing I want you to share with you, one thing I want you to know. Every single year is precious. Every single year, and what we can learn from tzaddikim, that we can care for every single Jew, no matter who we are. And now we're going to the Marash, that he was on a wagon, and he said that I want to go to this, and he had a royal chariot, and go to this place, and go to Paris, and do whatever, and do what I need to do over there. So they were wondering why the Rebbe Marash all of a sudden, instead of sitting and learning Chassid enough that he has all the richness in the world, all said that he was so rich, he can have anything he wants. Why on earth does he need to go to Paris? And then not only he goes to Paris, in the middle of Shmotz, in the middle of the Klippa, he will go into a casino, he will go to this hotel, and then also he asked for a room, because obviously the God thought, he sees this person, this rabbi, whatever, he said, he thinks, and then the person said to him, he said, listen, he said, the Rebbe asked for it, and he said, and he showed him the card, and they thought I was just joking to the Rebbe Marash, maybe told him whatever, and he said fine, they gave in, and they gave him the room, the very, very rich room, by the floor with the casino, which is like a VIP room. And the Chassidim wanted to fight, but said no, the Rebbe asked for us to come here, we came here for a reason. And then Marash then went into the room in casino, and they were even shocked at what the Rebbe doing there. And the Rebbe saw this person, the Rebbe said, the Rebbe told the soldiers, the meat, wine is not kosher yid. And so he said, Ya ye nesech yid. And yid vosse dos ya nesech, and then he said, what was meat? And then Marash left. Half an hour later, the Marash, while he was sitting in Tehillim, this person came and burst and crying. And the Chassidim asked him, and the Chassidim said to him, he said, Rabbi Yid, after coming, he said, why are you crying? And he said to the Rebbe, he said, he said, you must have had Ruach HaKodesh. He said, when I saw that your holy hand, your holy neshama, tap on me, it woke up my neshama. And it woke up my neshama, and it made me feel, remembered my mother age, remembered the days that I was Jewish, and I don't even know what am I doing here. And eventually this person, obviously the tshuva, and he became a chassid. And this is what we can learn from the Rebbe Marash, the level, the avos yisrael that the Rebbe Marash had, that he would go and he would go and travel, and to bring another yid back to Torah mitzvahs. And that is something that I want you to know. That's a Rebbe that cared for every single Jew, the avos yisrael for every single Jew. He couldn't just start and continue learning, but instead he went out of his way to go and bring back the Jew to Torah mitzvahs. And I want you to know, and now we're going to go to the story of the Rebbe Rashab, Rebbe Sholem Doiber. As we know, with the Rebbe Rashab, very interesting, and he was the fifth Rebbe, the fifth Chabad Rebbe. And what was the story with the avos yisrael of the Rebbe Rashab? And the niggun goes, oh, yo, 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 And I forgot the story that the story of the Rebbe Shab, but I want to say this again. The Rebbe Shab. There's one story that I want to tell you something. Oh yeah, the story of the Hanukkah candles, and I'm sure you will know the famous story of Hanukkah candles, and I'll tell you it. One time there was this chassid who came to the Rebbe Shab, and they were bringing for Simchas Torah, and the Rebbe Shab called him to the office, and the Rebbe Shab said to him, the Rebbe Shab said, I want you to know before you leave, I want you to take candles. So the chassid was done and realized, he said, why on earth did the Rebbe need me? Now it's Tishrei. What's he telling me? Hanukkah in 2 months' time. What's he telling me about having Hanukkah candles? So he decided. So obviously the chassid was the chassid of the Rebbe Shab and never asked any question. And while before he was go on, and he decided that he was about to leave on this journey. And he realized that he remembered what the Rebbe Shab said to him on the first time of Hanukkah, make sure to take candles with you. And he took Hanukkah candles with him. And suddenly out of the middle of nowhere, these two bandits who were following him caught him and they said, please give us all your money. He was a very wealthy person, this person, or you will die. And he had no choice but give him the money. And then they said to him, please go, let me go. He said, oh really? He said, if we let you go, you gotta go and call the police, and the police will catch us, and so we're not stupid, so we'd rather kill you. And he said, please, I got a family. He said, no. They didn't listen. Eventually, when he saw that it was hopeless, so he decided that he said to them before that he died, he wants to make one wish. And normally when you make a wish, about you make a wish about food, whatever. But he said no, to light Hanukkah candles. And because it was his last, it might have been his last thing. So that's what he thought. He said, this is my last opportunity to a mitzvah before I get killed. Have l'shem shemayim. He decided, you know what, he's gonna have kavanah. And he davened and he had kavanah for Kodesh Baruch Hu. And he upon him. And he davened Baruch Ato Hashem Elokeinu Melech Olam. Whatever. He meant the Baruch. After a few minutes, while he was singing, and they were all sitting, suddenly, deep inside the forest, there was this person, and there was this Russian who was going on the walk, and suddenly out of nowhere they were about to go home, but suddenly they see a light, and he said, the light in the middle of the forest, something might not seem right, so I had to chase it, and then before they were wild this and that, the policeman and the soldier found these two bandits. And they took them away. And they said to him, he said, what's this? He said, we normally don't see candles. And what's going on? So he said, well, obviously, he said that today was the first time of Hanukkah. But my rabbi, he told me to bring candles. So the policeman said to him, he said to him, Baruch Hashem, thank God that you have a rabbi that cares for you, that makes sure, that looks after you, that makes sure that if not for you taking candles, we would have not known where you are, and we would find you and whatever. And thank God that your rabbi was able to saw with divine providence that he saw take you to. So two things we can learn: take you to candles and to light them. So we can see two things. One here, to listen to what a tzaddik, to what somebody tell us, like a Rav or Rebbe. And the other thing is to have out Yisrael, whatever, even though we don't know what it is, but nevertheless to do Avosol for him. And because the Rebbe Shab could have just davened, but then said the Rebbe Shab said, and he said to him, so he said to him, you go and take candles. Sorry, didn't really get my sleep last night to go and make sure taking the candles, and through him listening to the Rebbe taking candles, he was saved. And this is the Nevuah Kodesh that the Rebbe Shab saw, and that's why the Rebbe Shab said to him, I want you to take candles on Chanukah, on Tishrei, and not to wait to the last minute. So, and there's many other stories with the Rebbe Shab as well, obviously with the Fidik Rebbe. And I'm coming with the Fidik Rebbe, the famous one story about coming to Yubei's Tammuz. The Fidik Rebbe was a young boy, maybe 5 or 6, 7, and you also, when he said Mishnah Peh, his father will give him the gold coins, a beautiful Yitzchak. And the Fidik Rebbe, the sixth Rebbe, and the father of the Rebbes, he came in, and he was a young boy, and he saw that there was a person, there was a policeman hurting a Jew. And what did this young boy, the Fidik Rebbe do? What did he do? He went in and beat up this police officer. And the Fidik Rebbe, the police officer, without thinking, realized what was doing. Normally the police wouldn't get hurt, broke. It's just a child. So there's no need to put him in prison. But this guy decided, you know what? I'm going to put him in prison anyways. They put him in prison. And they went to Fidik Rebbe. And obviously the Fidik Rebbe, while he was in prison, what was he doing? He was saying much nice. And suddenly he heard the noise. He heard the noise of a cow. Like, what's a calf doing over here? And suddenly, out of nowhere, the interrogator, after when they realized that the Fidik Rebbe was innocent, they took him out. Suddenly, the Fidik Rebbe said, I want to show you something that I found in the prison. He said, and the guy and the consultant was in shock, and he said, what's this calf doing over here? What's he doing in prison? So the two policemen over there, that these big policemen who put the Fidik Rebbe, realized was guilty. And he realized that he was the one that put the calf, because he thought that the calf was annoying. Something like that. So he put how I understand it, and he put the calf. I don't remember the full details, but I remember that he stole the calf, whatever, and eventually, and the Fidik Rebbe and the guard said that, and the guard said that he said that because of your obviously soil that you're able to find the calf, and because you're able to find the calf, you're able to put the right justice. So we see from here not only that the policeman did a favor, that if the Fidik Rebbe would have not stopped for obviously soil, the guy wouldn't have had the justice. And it's another. But the Fidik Rebbe wasn't interested in looking for reward, was interested to save another Jew. And that's what the father was very proud of him. And he said, my son, he said, you see what a mitzvah does? And a mitzvah, when you do a mitzvah of Pesach V'Yisrael, it saves you. And now we're going to the Rebbe, to the Aaron of the Rebbe Melech HaMashiach. And anybody, and I say this 100 of times, and I'll say this come upon him, there's only one neshama that knows who's Mashiach, that the mile of Agonis, which is the Arter, Neshama, which is my Neshama, and he knows whose Mashiach is, which is the Rebbe, and the Rebbe should be gesund, both in this world and in the world, where obviously the Rebbe is our leader, this and that. I'm not Mashiachist, but I believe that the Rebbe Penimus. So the famous story of the Rebbe when he was 9 years old. This is a story that I can think of. The Rebbe was 9 years old boy, and they were walking into the river. And suddenly the Rebbe was walking with his mother, Rebbe Tzimchana. And the Rebbe saw that there was this young boy who was stuck in the river. Without hesitating, without thinking twice, what would the normal person do? A 9 years old boy. Deep in the ocean, you see the boy down, Dad, he would just mind his own business. The Rebbe said, no. From a very young age, the Rebbe showed us how to take care of each and every one of us. And the Rebbe, out of nowhere, just jump into the water, and he said, then he got more wet than the person that was nearly drowned. And suddenly everybody was talking about, wow, who is this young boy that saved this boy's life was saved. And suddenly the Rebbe was like, oh, I wonder who the chair. Suddenly he looked around, he said he couldn't see his son. Suddenly he sees from his son coming out the Rebbe, coming out with wet clothes, and he understood, and he said, wow, my son is very special. And we came to become the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the our Rebbe, our Nusay, our Moshe Beno. And there's more story to follow. You can obviously check this on yeshiva.net, on Chabad.org, and any other Chabad website to find more stories from the Baal Shem Tov, for the Mitzvah Magid, the Alter Rebbe, the Mittel Rebbe, the Samach Seder, the Marash, the Bashab, and the Frierdiker Rebbe, and the Rebbe, Melech HaMashiach, our Nasi, the Reinu, our warrior Naaman, our faithful shepherd. And I want you to know about Boisai, that each and every one of these Rebbeim, from them going down from the Baal Shem Tov, who was the founder of Chassidus, to the Mitzvah Magid, who was the Rebbe of the Alter Rebbe, who was the founder of Chabad, then he got the Mittel Rebbe, then he got the Samach Seder, Marash, the Bashab, the Frierdiker Rebbe, and the Rebbe. Nevertheless, these are all tzaddikim that had one mission in the world, was to look after, to lead of Neshama Kolonis, to take hopefully soon Mashiach will come with the Rebbe, Melech Mashiach, Machin, and Kol Beit Yisrael. And Beit Hamidrash Shlishi, we're able to be Zoicha soon, we're able to be Zoicha, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will do what needs to be done in this world. They're able to have Yerushalayim HaKodesh. And hopefully shall have positive Yerushalayim, and I'll get a bracha to the soldiers, and hopefully the hostages should be released. And if Chatzonot, Hamas, Kodesh Baruch should give the green light, and the Bibi doesn't need to delay. He should go very quickly. One Noshechni offer. Come around Noshechni offer, and we should go. And down to the Ani HaKovid. And like Kodesh Baruch should go and give, and should go and allow the Israeli army to go and bomb and carpet Gaza, and make it to be the Sodom and Moyo. And for us, we should be able to be Zoicha to the Gula Mitzvah Shleim and Mosai. Opening now we Mishenichnu and other Chomirai Mishenichnas other Mabe Bem Simcha. We should increase our Simcha. We should be Monzo and Avodos Hashem, Avodos Balev. We should walk on ourselves Bemidos Be'avo, Bechavtza, Bechatravza, Vesarosoi, in a way to have love for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that he is Avinu Klon Ke'echod, that he is our Father and He cares for us individually, and He wants us to grow. And I bless you, each and every one of you. Before I give you the parsha, Ve'ata Desavet B'nei Yisrael, Ve'yichko Elecha Shem Ezai Zoch Kosel HaMoil Alo Yismei Tomid, and I recommend that each and every one of you should learn the Maimah of Ve'ata Tetzaveh, and I'm going to come put that in for the next year. And I want you to know that you're in the Simcha, Brochet, Vatzlochas, Yeshua, Panosah, whatever it is, shall have nachas from your children. Whoever needs children shall have children. Whoever needs to have long Avichas Yom Shalom Toivos, they got my blessing. They would through HaKadosh Baruch Hu blessing, and for the Rebbe, Melech HaMashiach blessing, for the tzaddikim and other tzaddikim out there, Moshe Rabbeinu, Rashbi, Aaron HaKohen, David HaMelech, Shlomo HaMelech, the Avos, Avraham Avinu, Yitzchak Avinu, Yaakov Avinu, Yitzchak Avinu, Yaakov Avinu, Yeshua ben Nun, Yeshua ben Nun, Chizkiah HaMelech. We also have with Rabbi Yehuda Nossi, Rabbi Gamaliel, and we also have the Ramban, Rashi, and all the great tzaddikim throughout our generation, the Arizal, HaKodesh, the Chasam Sofer, the Moshe Alshich. We also have the Or Chaim, and all the great tzaddikim as well out there, the Malmon Prague out there throughout history of Yehuda, throughout our generation, that sacrificed themselves for Torah mitzvahs, should be zoicha to be able to dance soon when Mashiach Zidkeinu in Beit Hamidrash Shlishi. Take him yad mamish machin and Kol Beit Yisrael memheri of Yameinu. Amen. L'chaim u'levrocha.